your name again?
Andrew Newland, yeah.
Good evening. This is the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting for December 10th, 2024. It is just a hair after 7 p.m. and Andrew Newland is going to open the meeting for us. Perfect. Thank you for your help. And that's going to be followed by what we typically do, and that's with a prayer and a pledge. And providing our prayer tonight is Pastor Socrates Holguin. He is the senior pastor at Maranatha Assemblies of God. Welcome back. We appreciate what you do for our community and what your congregation does for our community.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to me be here. And let me address that this is a season of Christmas, and I wish everybody Merry Christmas and a very healthy 2025. Yes. I would like to, before praying, read the scripture of the Bible where it says the birth of Jesus Christ. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verse 26 says, on the 6th month of Mary Elizabeth's birth, the angel Gabriel was sent from God into the city of Galilee of Nazareth to a virgin that was disposed with the man whose name was Joseph, descendant of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. And according to her, the angel says, greeting for favorite one, and the Lord is with you. But she says, was greatly perplexed of what he says, and keep carefully considering what kind of greeting was this. The angel said to her, do not be afraid, Mary. You have been found favored with God. Listen carefully. You will conceive in your womb and give birth to a son, and you shall name him Jesus. He will be the great and eminent. He will be called the Son of the Most High, and the Lord God will give him the throne of his father David, and he will reign forever to the house of Jacob. And his kingdom will never end. This is a passage of the Bible where we recognize the birth of Christ in a season as this one that we are celebrating, and not only celebrating in a country that gives the foundation to the Word of God. We are so blessed to be here today, and I want to pray over the meeting that you will have. I will pray for guidance, I will pray for wisdom, and I will pray that this city will continue prospering. Amen? Amen. Let's bow our head and pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord. We bless this nation. We bless our community. Hendersonville, Lord, is a town of godly people. Jesus, I declare right now your blessing over this meeting, Father. And now we come across the needs of this country and the needs of this city. I pray, Lord, for healing in Gina Jones and Dawn Dallenberg. I pray, Lord, that they will be healed in the mighty name of Jesus. Miracle happens every day, and I believe, Lord, your hands can cover all illnesses. In Jesus' mighty name, I declare right now a blessing of a double portion of your spirit. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for this opportunity we have, Lord, this evening to start our business, provoking your blessings over our life. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen and amen.
Pastor Holguin, thank you so much. I appreciate that very, very much. Now I'm going to ask Pack 33 from Beach Elementary School to lead us in the pledge. And who are our two guys that are going to start us off? Super. So the flag is this direction, so the rest of y'all can face this way. Y'all go ahead when you're ready.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to this republic we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thanks.
Incredible set of footwear. I've seen some shooting.
He's got more.
I'm going to entertain a motion that we approve the agenda that's provided to you. So we have a motion from Alderman, from Garden, okay, and a second, who'd you get? Alderman Garza. I want you to acknowledge, please, item number 6 on our ordinance and resolutions that we're waiving the 2-week rule there, so I just want to point that out, but we don't need to make a separate motion. Any discussion on the agenda, any suggested changes? Alderman Sassy.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to, on the consent agenda, I would like to remove or block out separate the first item on the consent agenda so we can discuss it separately.
Okay. We do that just at the request of one person. We don't need a motion for that. Alderman Garden.
I wanted to be added as a co-sponsor to number 2.
Okay, absolutely, without objection, we're going to do that. Okay.
To which one? I'm sorry.
Number 2, Alderman Robertson.
I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor to number 5 as well, since that's a Ward 6 project.
Okay. So we're gonna, without objection, we're going to add Alderman Robertson as a sponsor of number 5. Okay. So we are pulling out item 1 with a consent agenda. We can do that without a vote. Just one person can request that. So when we get to that, the consent agenda, we will have a motion just on item number 1, and then after we dispose of that, we'll have a motion on items 2 and 3 together. But so far, we don't have any change to the agenda. All those in favor of the agenda that was provided to you with those little alterations that we just dealt with, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, I need a couple folks to come up to the microphone because I want to tell you what the Knights of Columbus has been doing with us. Let's see, Tony Calderon is with us, Tom Cerrone, and Mickey Straub, if y'all could come up a little bit to the microphone. So when we finished our Greenway and opened it in February along Sanders Ferry and Drake's Creek, we noticed some nails that were in there that sort of popped up, and then more that popped up, and more that popped up. And anybody who has a deck can understand that that happens. So I was one of those people that noticed that and thought, gosh, what are we going to do about this? These 3, part of the Knights of Columbus here in Hendersonville, they noticed it and said, we need to do something about that. So they pounded many nails back in, but they also added more than 8,000 screws. So it was a lot of labor on hands and knees on the bridges that we had there. So Mickey, do either of you all want to tell us a little bit about the work and how it came together? We'd love to hear this.
Oh, sure. Yes, name is Mickey Straub. I've only been here for a year and a half, but I was very involved with my previous community. And when
Hold on. You weren't very involved in your previous community. You want to explain?
Okay, I was the mayor. And, I try to get to stay away from this stuff, but I just can't. And it's just been, this was a fine example of a team effort. My wife and I just got the ball rolling and texted Jay Ritterbeck. I call out to him for getting approval through the Public Works Director and also the mayor to say, hey, hammer away. But we thought it was just nails. We didn't think there was going to be 7,875 screws on top of that. But it was great the way it all came together. Andy Gilly and Doc, you may have know Steve, Dr. Stephen Bolig, and he's known as Doc, retired doctor here. He's one who volunteered through the Knights, which I've been involved with the organization for 15 years. But here, he's one of the key leaders. He managed the project. He's the one who got all the really most of the Knights together to attend to work for it. He and his son would pull up every day with their station wagon, all their tools, and work with Andy Gilly and Public Works funded 3 stand-up screws, which are incredible. There was very minimal work on your hands and knees. You were like one screw at a time, like one every couple seconds. It was unbelievable, and it was a great project. It took about a week. But it took about 2 weeks for planning and about 1 week for actual execution. But it really was, it's a great example of Hendersonville. Hendersonville is truly a community. I felt that from the very beginning. I love Hendersonville, and from the day we started talking. It's really not just a city by the lake, it's a city of love. And frankly, I will say it all, Jamie, you deserve all the credit, because if you hadn't introduced me to Jay, and to begin with, that whole thing never would have happened. So really, it's an example of a team effort from at every level that really came to be, and we're just honored to have been a part of it, as well as two of my brother knights here. There was actually about 10 of us off and on that worked on the project, but together it wouldn't happen without the great help from your Parks and Recreation Department also.
Yeah, appreciate it very, very much. Thanks, guys.
Hey,
Thanks so much.
thank you.
We have no public hearings. I'm going to entertain a motion that we approve the minutes from the November 25th special meeting. We have a motion from Alderman Goodwin, a second from Alderman Garten. That's almost hard to say together. Any discussion on that? Alderman Sassy.
Thank you. Sorry. So I noticed that the video was missing on this. Do we have that video that we can post online? Like it comes in at over halfway through. Do we know? Do we have that?
I don't know.
Not sure.
I mean, we can find out by tomorrow, but we're really now just approving the minutes.
Yeah.
I can get you an answer by tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other discussion on the minutes? All those in favor of approving the minutes that were provided to you on November 25th, for the November 25th meeting, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have the minutes from November 26th regular meeting. I need a motion, please. We have a motion from Alderman Goodwin and a second from Alderman Evans. He raised his hand before you said anything. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes from the November 26th meeting, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. We have nobody signed up for citizen comments. Now we're down to the consent agenda, and we pulled out item number 1, and that's Resolution 2024-39, a resolution accepting the dedication of unnamed right-of-way, Indian Lake subdivision, re-subsections 4, 5, and 8, located between 145 and 131 Indian Lake Boulevard here in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Alderman Martin, would you like to make a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion from Alderman Martin. Do we have a second? Second. We have a second from Alderman Garza. Alderman Sassy, go ahead.
Thank you. All right. So I had some questions on this, and I don't know if these questions need to go to Public Works. But why are we, I know this is a very short piece of road in between two commercial buildings. What's the reason for us accepting this road here, roadway?
So with the development in that area, it was platted as a dedication of public streets to the city with the approval of that development. And so the adjacent property owner I don't know, I'm not certain whether they're looking to develop their property or sell it, but they were wanting clarification on ownership. And since it was right of way that was dedicated to the city that had not gone through the formal acceptance process, it was recommended that we go through that process. So we're now working to accept that. And of course, it's a stub, so there's a potential for a future connection there, but that's where we're at.
So what you're saying is the property next to it is looking to potentially be developed or sold, or is this the property just to the west of it?
I'm actually not, is it, Lance? Yes.
What's the size of that property? Do we know? What the acreage or?
I don't have that information. It may be on the plat. Let me.
I don't see it on there.
Who's the owner of it? Do we know that? Do we have that information?
Drinks Creek Holdings LLC.
Yeah, that's in your packet. It's after tab number 1.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see that. It was on the Planning Commission, right? Resolution? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So they have not indicated any want or need to develop this property yet, right? But that is definitely a consideration. What if we don't approve this? Can they still access that road to develop that property?
Yes, I'm not sure it's necessarily about access. I believe it's more about ownership and maintenance responsibilities. And I'm not certain whether they've had any pre-development meetings with planning or not. That may be how that came about. I have not been involved in those specifically. But it's, my understanding is that they're wanting clarification of the ownership and maintenance responsibility of that property.
Okay. Well, the problem I have with this is that by taking this over, it means we now have to maintain it. I know it's a short piece of property, but we now would have to pay to maintain that property, especially with potential development to go on in that large plat just to the west of it. And the potential for them tearing up that road, I mean, I would much prefer that we keep it the way it is, or they purchase that road from the current owner. And is that a possibility? Can they purchase that little road? And
Let's have Lance answer that one.
oh, okay.
Thank you.
I'm not entirely certain of all the scenarios. As Director Locke said, it was something that was dedicated to the city in 1999, and I would imagine for a title examination purposes to clear title that there would just, the city, for whatever reason, never went through the process to formally accept it, although it did go through the Planning Commission back in 1999 because it was, I believe, a planned development. So I'm not sure why I felt like this was a crossing a T and dotting an I.
So his question is, can we force them to buy it from us?
Well, not if we never accepted it.
But so we could reject this and they could purchase it from the current owner, right?
I don't know if it's, there could be a different scenarios to that. I don't know that I can answer that. I'm not sure who the owner is.
Yeah, I'm not certain on that information either. I don't know that, I mean, I'm obviously not the attorney, but I don't know that they could purchase it if it's been platted. It almost seems like we might need to complete the process, and then there may be an option for the city, maybe, Lance,
Yeah.
I'll defer to you, but to abandon that right of way if we so decide.
Yeah, I mean, that's the process that we would need to take if that's what we're going to do is abandon it. It's to, because as of right now, there's no clear title to it,
Okay.
which is the reason why we're doing this today.
Alderman Sass, anything else?
So, well, if we abandon, so we could accept this and then immediately turn around and abandon it?
Well, that wasn't anything I had heard of before, but I know that we couldn't abandon it unless we accepted it.
Okay. Well, I don't think we should accept this until we have further information on that. Maybe even talk to that owner to determine what they're, of Drake's Creek Holdings, is that what you said their
Drake's
name?
Creek Holdings LLC.
Okay. Maybe even find out what their plan is, because that's, as far as I know, that's the only access to that property. And by us accepting it, we're not, when we take over roads in residential neighborhoods, it's with the understanding that we're going to now be getting property taxes to help maintain that road. This is accepting a road without any funding source to maintain it. And I know it's just a little piece of road, but that road, if that land is going to get developed, it's going to get torn up, and it really provides no benefit to the city to maintain it now. So I'm thinking that if we could postpone this resolution, or I would propose that we postpone this until we have a more clear understanding of what's happening with that property.
Is Keith here? A chance?
Alderman Sass, anything else?
That's all.
Alderman Martin.
Yeah, I just want to add some info when we talked about it. So Drake's Creek Holdings, that's David Lucky's company, so that's his property behind it, which tells me, it's already built, so it tells me that it was done when Indian Lake Boulevard was, and it sounds like this is just crossing the Ts and dotting the Is as far. So it's already built, it's already there. And I'm assuming he paid for it?
I'm not certain exactly who originally paid for it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I just wanted to add that.
Alderman Martin, thank you. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, thank you. Just a quick question for those of you. I have an idea, and I'm looking at the map now. Where exactly is this property in relation to the old miniature golf course? And I think it's a softball facility or what do you call it? A baseball pen? Batting cage. That's it. Yeah. In relation to that, can you? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm right in front of me. Okay. Thank you very much for doing that. Okay, so okay, so that's the road that's in question right there. Okay, what is the zoning of the property that surrounds it? Like, what can they put in there? I guess you probably don't know that because that would be strictly planning that would know that, and I understand that now after I've asked the question.
I would assume commercial, but I don't know what the allowable uses would be.
Okay. Because here's the thing, in looking at the road, Indian Lake Boulevard at certain times, as everybody knows, I'm going to use that ugly word, but there's a lot of traffic. And if you go out, if you look at it, it's going to be hard to make a left-hand turn out of there. A right one, obviously you could, but I don't know if I would even risk going through there to a left-hand turn right there. But it could. I mean, you could, obviously, because I know it's dangerous coming out, at certain times out of the park, going left into the Indian Lake Center like that. That's why we have police out there to monitor it when ball games are going on or soccer games. So I know that would be another exit, I'm sure, out of there. But I'm just curious as to what it's zoned for, because if it's something like apartments or something like that, I don't know that I would be inclined to. I'd just let it go and see where it takes us, because I'm fearful that I don't even know if it's enough property for apartments. I don't know. It may be just for it could be an office complex or something like that. Because what I'm seeing, and I'll close with this, Mayor, because I don't know about you guys on the board, but what I'm seeing in town is they're getting there's companies are coming in, and development companies are coming in, and they're buying all these little small sections, and they're starting to build on it. And it's getting crowded and more crowded in the subdivisions all over the city, not just in our district, not in Ward 1, although we're having it done, but everywhere. And I'm somewhat, as I look at it, I'm appreciative that they want to build here, but we're getting some properties that are not they're not attractive. And I can think of several, one on New Shackle Island Road, which we see that, those apartments are right there when you're at the stop sign and you go to the left. I think they're all still for sale. I don't think any of them's been bought yet. And then we've got one on Saunders Ferry Road all the way to the end. They have some buildings out there that they've built. And at this point, I think there's going to be some problems there in the future. And it's not any fault from any of this board or anything like that, or even the planning commission. It's just they're going in and buying this property, and they have the right to build on it, what it's zoned for. So that's why I was wondering my whole point was I'm wondering what that's zoned for, because I'm curious. Because I don't want any more apartments. I really don't.
Yeah, I would say it's very unlikely that apartments would be an allowable use for that property. It doesn't meet the character of the area, That's something I've learned from planning. So
Well, it
I
sounds
would be
good anyway.
surprised.
So,
And also the Indian Lake Village, I don't believe that there are any other areas where they had planned zoning for apartments or higher density
Yeah,
like that.
okay.
I think that's why they had to rezone the area behind over by Hobby Lobby.
Okay.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you.
Thank you very much,
Appreciate it.
Mayor. All right.
Alderman
thanks.
Ward.
Yes, sir. At one time, was there not a plan in place to extend Cherokee Road to that stub so that there'd be additional way for traffic to come out of Cherokee and hit Indian Lake Boulevard?
It's a great question. I do not know the answer. I would assume that there was a long-term plan, but I'm not specifically aware of that.
Because, well, so my concern would be if we did not approve it and maintain it as a city, that later when that property is in a position to be developed or something like that, if we did do that, we would still be able to extend Cherokee Road to relieve some of the traffic issues through planning.
Theoretically.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Alderman Ward, thank you. So, real quickly, so it's Zone GC, thank you for that, Jason. And the city essentially promised to take over this road in 1999. If we want to push businesses away and say we don't want your property tax, we don't want our sales tax, then we can start by leaving this property the way it is, and violating the obligations that we have to the people who have developed commercial property. So if we don't want any more commercial taxpayers and sales taxpayers, vote against this. So, Alderman Bergdorf.
Thank you, Mayor. You noted that we promised as a city in 1999 to take ownership of this. I don't see, is it in the fine print here? Or I don't see the resolutions or anything that indicate that. That would be helpful.
Lance, can you go ahead?
The city approved this final plat in 1999, and it, yeah, it just says right-of-way dedication, which right-of-way would be the function of the city. So when it approved that when the city approved the final plat, it approved that it would be dedicated as right-of-way. It was just, normally, there's at some point later a formal acceptance of it, and I guess it just never went through that process.
Alderman Bergdorf.
Yes, sir. So as part of being a good neighbor to our future developers and current developers, I just want to make sure we have all our T's crossed and I's dotted and not charge them any more than we otherwise would be on property tax to maintain these roads that we take over. Because I still have lots of neighbors' roads in my ward that need resurfacing and repair. I know we've done a lot of great work toward that, but I'm not in favor of adding more burden to our staff for that at this point. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Alderman Collins.
I just want to say that, Mayor, I think that your point about that we have to do what we said we were going to do, even though only one of us would have been here in 1999 to have been part of that conversation. But if we want our planning documents to be honored by the developers, then we have to honor the part that is what we said we were going to do. And as a city, it's clear to me that we said we would take ownership of this road. A little bit later on the agenda, we're going to hold a developer to what they said they would do. We've got to do it both. It's got to go in both directions. We can't expect to hold their feet to the fire and not do our own. Thank you.
Alderman Collins, thank you. Alderman Robertson.
You stated what was the zoning, present zoning for this
General commercial for the
general
property around it.
commercial, so apartments could not be built, correct? And it looks like it's, one of the lots is 1.4 acres and the other one's 1.3. So, Sarah, on this, if we approve this, will there be any required expenditure of the city on this roadway?
Not at this time, no. I mean, long-term maintenance, yes, but there's nothing identified at this time.
Typically, what we also do when a parcel is sought to be developed is we require that company to make off-site improvements. So would an off-site improvement be to repave and improve this roadway?
Certainly could be.
So the city would not be obligated, but it would be the developers of this property.
Yes, that could
Thank you.
be.
That's all.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Any other discussion? Jason, you ready for us? Okay. All those in favor of Resolution 2024-39, press the green button. Those opposed, press the red one. That passes 9-3 with Alderman Bergdorf, Martin, and Sassy voting against, and the rest of us voting for. Thank you all. Next, we have Resolution 2024-44, a resolution accepting the dedication of completed streets in Millstone Phases 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to vote with that, we're going to vote on Resolution 2024-45. This is a resolution accepting the dedication of completed street in Meadows of Indian Lake, Phase 4, Section 1, here in Hendersonville. I need a motion, please. We have a motion from Alderman Goodwin and a second from Alderman Bergdorf for both these items to be voted together. Alderman Skidmore.
Just quickly, Mayor, thank you. It did pass Public Works unanimously. We encourage the vote.
Appreciate that.
Right.
All those in favor of approving Resolution 2024-44 and Resolution 2024-45, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all. Next, we have second reading of ordinance 2024-21. This is an ordinance establishing a special committee to be known as the Lakeshore Committee. Alderman Bergdorf, would you like to make a motion? We have a motion from Alderman Bergdorf. A second from Alderman Sassy. Any discussion? All those in favor of Resolution 2024-21, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on to first reading of ordinance 2024-23. This is an ordinance amending the budget ordinance 2024-08 to appropriate funds for the Eagle View project. Alderman Robertson. We have a motion from Alderman Robertson and a second from Alderman Garza. Alderman Robertson, any comments? Okay. Alderman Collins.
I have a question for Sarah. The $94,200, do we expect that to be adequate? This was in 2018. There's been some inflation in the construction sector.
Yes, no, we do not expect that to be adequate to cover the needed improvements. This would simply help us get started, and then once we have the design for the needed improvements, then we could move forward with a budget amendment to cover those.
So this question might not be for you. It might be for Lance, but just whoever can answer it. Do we have the ability to hold the developer responsible for the difference in the surety bond and the actual expense?
Yes, and that's the intent.
Okay, thank you. Because I would hate to see people walking away from these obligations because we were covering the difference. So
They will
I'm
not.
happy to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Collins. Alderman Skidmore.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just quickly, this ordinance, ordinance amending the budget to appropriate funds for the Eagle View project on that, it did come through Public Works, and we again asked for the board to approve it. It came through unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Skidmore. So this is an amendment to our budget. Typically, we wait until something with urgency, and this has urgency, to amend our budget, or we wait till the mid-year, and we have a budget amendment then that has multiple items on it. We have 3 other items that we need to add to this, and I want to have a discussion here. I'll tell you what those 3 are in just a second, but I didn't send this to you ahead of time. We didn't really have the details of this really until this morning. We have a second reading on this. I am fine sending this out to you and let you take a look at it, ask questions of the staff. I'm also fine if y'all want to discuss it here. But there's 3 items that at some point I'm going to need to propose that we add to this. And one is we need some additional money for the mast arms and the signal that we are replacing at Rockland Road and Gallatin Road. And that's a cost of about $98,000. We also need to adjust our local options sales tax income. We feel comfortable that we can increase that by about $300,000. We also need to adjust an expense and revenue for a cybersecurity grant for our police department. That's about $45,000 on each side, okay? Like I said, so I have this written up. I have what needs to be changed as far as the text, but I didn't send it out ahead of time. And I'm happy to wait until second reading. I'm happy to give you more details right now, whichever y'all want to do. But I'm not going to make a motion that we amend this quite yet. Let's have some discussion, and then we'll decide. Alderman Sassy.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Are those items that you just mentioned, how are they affiliated with the Eagle View? I guess I'm confused.
Very good question. They're not. In fact, we would have to change the caption of this ordinance as well. Eagle View would just be one of really 4 amendments to be grouped as one amendment.
So why would we not just create a new ordinance and have that go through the process?
Because it would have to go through the process. So this is a quicker way of doing it since it hasn't had first reading quite yet. If we wanted to have an ordinance separate, it would have to go through the Finance Committee, then first reading and second reading. And the cybersecurity grant for the police has a little bit of urgency to it. And the main street and the traffic signal at Rockland Road has some urgency to it as well. So if we started the process, we'd lose about a month. So that's why I suggest to staff that maybe we add it to this ordinance that already has one amendment to it. But I'm happy to have a conversation about it.
So can we move this to the end of our agenda and get copies of that, and so we can begin the discussion? Because I'd like to have that in front of me.
Hold on here. So I'm looking for anybody else that wants to bob their head up and down like,
No one else wants to see this?
Okay. Jesse, can you help us? Or Tamara? Or Alderman Sassy, anything else? Copies already. Or do you have copies already, Tamara? Oh, super. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
prepared. Thank you, Tamara. No, one last thing. The original ordinance did come through finance as well, and we passed unanimously as well. One more question for you, though. Because this is not going to cover the total cost, are we able to go back to the developer and say, and retrieve more funds from them?
Yes, as Alderman Collins pointed out, that's the intent. We are able to do that, and that's the intent to do.
Okay, how much are we, does it say on here how much? No? Okay, so how much are we going to be going to the developer to capture?
Are those figures,
We don't have that information yet because there's a design that's needed for the entrance to satisfy TDOT permit for the access. And so until we have that design, we cannot come up with an appropriate opinion of cost.
Okay, so then we have another ordinance come through when that happened?
We hope to have that information by our next budget cycle. So we would hope to include that as part of either mid-year budget or next fiscal year's budget.
Got it, thank you.
Yeah.
That's all for now. I just need to review this now.
Thank you, Alderman Sassy. Tamara, I bet you we're going to have a question for you. Alderman Collins.
I have procedural questions about the amendment. The benefit to me for adding it as an amendment tonight is that then it becomes part of our printed BOMA binder that is accessible to the public online and can be reviewed by us and everybody as part of the official documents moving into the next meeting. But my question is procedurally, isn't there something that you can't remove an amendment at the next meeting? Like once you've put it on, it's on? Or how does that work?
So let's say that, and I think I'm going to answer your question. So let's say that we voted to add this tonight and it failed. If somebody wants to bring the same motion 2 weeks from now, I'll call it out of order. Okay? Because we're essentially having a vote on the same thing and nothing has changed. If somebody wants to bring that forward with a little bit of a change, I'd say okay. If we pass this tonight and it's on there, we can't have somebody ask to remove it 2 weeks. I would call that out of order because we've essentially already passed the same motion. If it's essentially the same motion, I'm going to call it out of order even though it's been 2 weeks.
In that case, my opinion is that we wait and so that we are not approving items on the budget, even though to me they seem fine.
Okay.
But within 10 minutes of having reviewed them, it just doesn't seem like the fiduciary responsibility is being met.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman Collins. Anything else? Okay, Alderman Bergdorf.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Yeah, I tend, at this point, I agree with Alderman Collins regarding holding it and adding it to the next, the second reading of this. Is that something we can do?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Alderman Bergdorf, thank you. Alderman Sassy.
Do we know when this HPD cybersecurity grant is due to be applied for?
We'll go to Jesse for that one.
We've actually already received the revenue. This is just accounting for it.
So we've received this 45,000
Yes.
grant. Okay. Okay.
Even when we receive something like that, it's not in the budget, so I can't sign a check.
Right. Understood. When did we, never mind. Well, this is taking an additional $98,808 out of our fund balance. Is that correct?
Yes.
And as I understand it, through amendments that we've done throughout this year, we were pretty much even, right? We were breaking even on our general fund as it is.
So this is a non-operating, so when it comes to infrastructure, we put that in the non-operating. And we always run deficit in the non-operating because we don't have the revenue. You know, when we go out and we do a traffic signal, we don't necessarily have revenue to offset it. We just go and do the projects.
Okay.
So this is in the non-operating bucket.
Thank you.
So all those would be expected to use fund balance.
Okay, appreciate that. Mayor, I would, unless you're gonna make the motion, I would like to make a motion that we add this, but remove the number 4 and number 5 from there, because I think those can be added. Couldn't those be added or actually 3, 4, and 5, right? Because we have a mid-year budget cycle coming up anyways, and at that point, we're gonna see what our current revenues are more accurately, to where I would feel more confident in budgeting this item and appropriating that.
So I appreciate that. I'm going to turn to Sarah. Sarah, what happens if we delay another 2.5, 3 months on the Rockland Road signal? Because where are we on that right now?
The materials are being delivered next month in January.
So we would so it's going to be ready to go in January.
Yes. We'll have invoices to pay.
And when do we expect the project to be finished?
I would expect, depending on when they're delivered in January, I mean, it should be complete within a couple weeks of delivery of materials. So January or early February.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So I'm confused. So we ordered the materials. We knew that this was happening. Was this on our previous budget?
So it was in our previous budget, and when it came time to roll it forward, we neglected to have it roll forward. So that's why we're in this situation now. Is that we appropriated the money, gosh, a year and a half ago. The project, because of the ordering process and the delivery process, didn't get done in fiscal year 2024. So it should have been in this budget, and it wasn't, and so that's why we need to do this now.
Okay.
With traffic signal equipment especially, it's hard to gauge, guess, estimate when the equipment's going to show up.
Yeah, that's understandable, especially with the traffic signal synchronization we just went through, and there was times where things were delayed. I can understand that.
Why don't we go to Alderman Robertson? If you want to make a motion,
please.
okay, wait for a second. Okay, Alderman Robertson.
I like the idea of postponing the PIP fund adjustment. Has the staff taken into consideration the drop in the PIP fund as a result of the action on reducing the sales tax on groceries?
Yes, sir, our year-end estimates at this point do take that drop come February into account.
And even with that drop, you still think that it's going to come in 300,000 above?
That is a very low estimate. I anticipate it'll be higher than that, but for now, because we don't have, as we gain more months, I think that amount will actually increase as what we have available.
Alderman Robertson, I'm not as conservative as Tamara is, when that's a good thing, that she's more conservative. I think it's going to be more in the neighborhood of 600 to 800,000, just in the PIP fund.
Okay, good. So is it the reason that we're including that adjustment in the PIP fund is to be able to kind of make it zero out? Understand. So the signal expense, were any of the developers over there supposed to help pay for that?
Yes, that's the 98,000.
Okay. And that's just for the new traffic signals for Main Street and Rockland?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I've been a pretty stickler for not wanting to, unless it's an emergency, adjust the budget before mid-year budget. I understand, you know, the cyber grant, we've already got the money, we need to allocate it. I understand that. But, and I guess I understand the light. I mean, we're kind of between a rock and a hard spot here because we need to complete that project. And Mayor, do we not have time to go through the normal committee process? I don't know, when's finance meet next? Do they meet the first week in January?
The 4th.
The fourth week in January.
We can do a special call meeting.
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable before the second reading to have Finance Committee scrutinize this a little more at the committee level and bring back a recommendation if the chairman of the committee would agree to that.
We don't need to make a motion, we can just ask Chairman Sassy how he feels about that.
Okay.
Yep, I would be fine with that.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'll work with Tamara, we'll get that before our first January meeting.
The second reading of this?
Yes, second reading, yeah.
Okay. All right, that's all.
Alderman Robertson, thank you, Alderman Robertson. So it sounds like there's not an interest in amending our ordinance with the items that I gave out to you. I think I'm reading that pretty well. Tamara and Sarah, thank you for that help. Alderman Sassy.
Yeah, that's correct. I would like to maybe bring this back up at second reading to amend.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving ordinance 2024-33, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on resolution 2024-46. This is a resolution authorizing the fire department to apply for an assistance to firefighters grant known as AFG grant. Alderman Garden? Motion? Alderman Goodwin? A second, okay. Alderman Goodwin, go ahead.
This came to public safety tonight, and it passed with a positive recommendation.
Alderman Goodwin, thank you. Any other discussion? Alderman Martin?
Name to this.
Okay, without objection, we're going to add Alderman Martin's name. All those in favor of resolution 2024-46, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all. Now we're on to the appointment of a capital projects chairman. Alderman Skidmore.
Thank you, Mayor. This committee is probably, besides Public Works Committee, that was a joke, by the way. But anyway, it's probably one of the most important appointments that we have on the board as a whole. And I have been a past capital projects chairman several times actually, but I don't want to tell because it'll start showing my age. And my time on this board has been tonight one of discussion, and I appreciate that because I do enjoy it, and I love it so, and I love the city. But I cannot think now in looking forward to the next several years of what we've got, and I know in 2 years or so, we'll do all this again. But we're at a state now where I think the bottom line is we need someone that is very knowledgeable, that knows what's going on, and that even if you disagree with them, you can go have a cup of coffee with them, and and that's what you need. And that person distinguishes themselves beyond that very well, and I appreciate them so much, and I have a great deal of respect for this person, and I would be proud to put the name of Eddie Roberson in as the man to be appointed the Capital Projects Chairman. He's done an outstanding job. He's done a better job than I had ever done. He looks at the things with insight and the future of Hendersonville, and not just one area of town. He looks at everything, and I'll tell you, I appreciate that because that's the way that I do things, and I appreciate that. There's nothing that you can't talk to him about, like, I need something in my ward or our ward rather, and he's very thoughtful about it. And whether we agree or not on it, he might say, "Hey, I can't put it in there now, but we'll just keep talking about it, and maybe in the future we can put it in." And that's what a capital projects chair does, and he manages that committee so well. Just think of all the projects that we've under his guidance that we've got. And Mayor, I just can't think of a better guy to do that this evening than Eddie Roberson. So I'd like to put his name in as the chair. Thank you.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. Alderman Garza.
Yeah, Alderman Skidmore, that was really nice what you said, and I happen to agree that the characters and qualifications for this job makes this person that I'm about to nominate just as important. I'd like to nominate Rachel Collins.
Okay. So we have 2 nominations, Alderman Robertson, Alderman Collins. Any other ones? Alderman?
Remove.
Oh, sorry, Alderman Collins, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Respectfully, Alderman Garza, I will remove my name.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alderman Garza, would you like to withdraw your nomination? Yes. Okay, appreciate that. Alderman Skidmore.
Mayor, I'd just like to make a motion that we elect my colleague from Ward 6 be elected by acclamation to the board, to the Capital Projects.
We have a motion from Alderman Skidmore, a second from Alderman Goodwin that we elect Alderman Robertson by acclamation. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Congratulations, Alderman Robertson. Next, we have the appointment of the 5th nonprofit committee member. Our nonprofit committee is made of the chairman of Finance Committee, vice chairman of Finance Committee, the chairman of the General Committee, the vice chairman of the General Committee, and a 5th person that we appoint. When I look at citizen committees, and this isn't a citizen committee, but when I look at citizen committees, very often I try to appoint somebody that has such expertise in that area that I feel like we're getting very good free labor. What I look at is people, and Charles Hasty is a great example. He's on our planning commission. Charles is an engineer, worked for the city of Hendersonville. He was actually an interim city manager for the city of Hendersonville, worked for Metropolitan Davidson County for a time as well. With Charles Hasty, we get for free what a lot of people paid an awful lot of money for. And that's the same situation I look at when we have Mark Evans here. And so I'm going to nominate Mark Evans to be that 5th person on the nonprofit committee. Alderman Sassy. Oh, there you go. Go ahead.
That was going to be my nomination as well, so thank you.
Okay. Any other nominations? And Alderman Evans, we should probably look at you down here and say yes. Are you okay with that? Okay. Okay. Any other nominations? All those in favor of Mark Evans being the 5th member of the nonprofit committee, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously, although I didn't hear Alderman Evans actually vote. Next, we have the appointment of citizen committee liaisons. You've got that in your packet. Who's our general committee chairman? Alderman Garza. Can you tell us what y'all discussed on this, please?
General did not have a meeting.
No, didn't you? Did y'all discuss this list at your last meeting for the committee liaisons?
Yes.
You did. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what?
Not this week.
Were you all okay with the list that was put together?
Yes.
You were, okay. So, tab 9, page 56 and 57, I need a motion, please.
So moved.
So we have a motion from Alderman Garza, a second from Alderman Sassy,
Close.
that we approve the list that you have that was considered and recommended by the general committee. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Robertson, will okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Alderman Robertson? We're
Yeah,
on to committee
just a point
reports.
of order. Do our ordinances require us to appoint a chairman of the Management Review Committee?
It does. We sort of put that off for a couple weeks because there's really no urgency for that.
Right.
And we'll make sure that's on the agenda our next meeting. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you. Okay. But Alderman Robertson will ask why. Let's see, brief committee reports. General Committee, Chairman Garza.
General Committee did not meet this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Garza. Finance Committee, Chairman Sassy.
Thank you. We met as the very first meeting, right after our last meeting, of course, and we elected our chairman, vice chairman, and actually we elected a secretary as well. So I wanted to thank Alderman Evans for being our secretary, and Alderman Bergador for being the vice chair of our committee. We read about we read ordinance 2024-23, the Eagle View project, which we discussed tonight. And we also canceled our next meeting because of Christmas. That's all.
Thank you, Chairman Sassy. Next, we have Chairman Goodwin with Public Safety.
We had a brief meeting this evening. The only agenda on the item was the firefighters' grant that passed unanimously tonight. Resolution. Thank you for passing that.
Chairman Goodwin, thank you. Chairman Skidmore, Public Works.
Yes, thank you. We had a meeting tonight, and we only had one at our special call meeting. We're going to be rescheduling our next Public Works Committee meeting because it's around Christmas. I think it's the 26th of December, and we will be busy eating our food and opening or looking at the Christmas presents that Santa gave us. And except in the Bergdorf family, they're going to have coals and switches, you know. So they'll have to, you know, they may be calling the fire department and the police department over that one. I don't know. But anyway, tonight, we had a reading of a resolution of 2024-47 and more of a serious note. This was a resolution approving the purchase price of the sale of land for right-of-way that was located near the juncture of Drakes Creek Road, Avant Lane, and Countryside Drive, and Anderson Road. What the committee, after lengthy discussion and very, very good questions, we decided to move this to the Board of Aldermen with no recommendation, and I reiterated this a lot. It's not that we are opposed for or against it. We felt that all the aldermen should make this decision because it's been such a high volatile area that we've been discussing, and we felt that instead of putting either being a defeated ordinance or a positive, we wanted everybody to decide as a whole, all 13 members of us to decide as a whole, because it affects, believe it or not, it affects every ward in town. And and you ask yourself, why? How is that? Because it's in Ward 6, but it's where the money could be spent or where the money's coming from. And we're going to put that on there, this resolution, I think next, the first board meeting we have in January, which, what is it again, the 14th? The 14th. And we're going to put it on then, and it'll be further explanation. If you have any questions on it, give me a shout during this Christmas break we have. But again, there was there wasn't anybody bad mouthing it or anything like that. We just felt that the whole board needed to make that decision, and that's where we came in. So other than that, we adjourned at 6:54 p.m. and that's it. And Mayor, in closing, I do want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas And I do, and I'm just teasing about the coals and switches.
Yeah, we'll see
See,
what happens Christmas morning.
right. Look at my house, I'm sure. Oh my God. So anyway, I do wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and I hope that the city of Hendersonville and all our constituency, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we wish the greatest things for you and your family in our community. So bless you all, and may God be with you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairman Skidmore. Alderman Martin, Planning Commission.
Yes, the Planning Commission met on Tuesday, December 3rd. The first project we talked about was the Fortune House. They submitted a site plan. This is the restaurant we all know and love that was hit by the tornado. I was excited to see it, so were some other Planning Commission members. They're building a new location on 123 Walton Ferry Road, just south of the AT&T building and across the street from the vacant car wash. So I'm excited to see them open back up, and I'm glad they're staying in Hendersonville. The other project we discussed was Redeemer Church Building Addition. This is at 177 Bonita. It's next to the Hendersonville Fire Station number 3. It's a 11,650 square foot building addition. We approved that. Staff level projects that were approved, 1041 Avondale parking lot, Cross Point Community Church exterior remodel, Stonecrest Phase 5 Section 2 walking trail. Staff level projects pending is Broken Paddle Outfitters building, which has been pending for a while. Indian Lake Forest Section front porch and Whataburger parking lot addition, Hendersonville Football Stadium, Noakes addition, Stonecrest Phase 5, TriStar Hendersonville Medical Center parking lot, Walmart's remodel, sans the blue. And then other discussion items we accepted, the completed streets in Millstone Phases 1, 2, and 3, completed streets in Indian Lake Phase 5, Sections 4, 5, and 8, completed streets Meadow of Indian Lake Phase 4, Section 1. And Planning Director just had a couple of comments on staff training. And I also want to echo Skidmore's thoughts on Merry Christmas to everyone.
Alderman Martin, thank you. Jesse, our Bowman report, please.
Part of Chair Skidmore's remarks in Public Works were to make sure that our Public Works team has the streets in good order when Santa comes to town. So, Jason, if you could pull the pictures up. This is the new salt box that we have on the back of some of our trucks. We ordered 2 new salt boxes. And if you go to the next picture, it's a new plow. So we should be in good shape for when Santa comes to town. Alderman Skidmore, here's just a couple pictures. We have more salt, more boxes, and more plows than we've ever had, so that's kind of at our disposal. So hopefully that should mean we don't get any bad weather since we're so well prepared for this year. And if that works, then we'll just keep ordering extra salt every year. I did want to remind everyone that this Saturday at 5 p.m. at Mallard Point Park, there is going to be a boat parade that starts at 5:30. The actual parade starts at 5:30, but the festivities kick off at 5 p.m. And then in the BOMA report, which is in your packet, it starts at page 58. I just wanted to point out a few things. As far as the financials go, revenue is up. That's what we heard on the budget amendment this evening. But we have steady growth and over $750,000 in sales tax from the previous July to October period of the previous year. So that's really good news. Public safety calls for service are on trend with previous years, and the LPR cameras have enabled us to date to get over 25 cars. We've gotten blue lights on 25 cars that have run through the city, so that's a good statistic. Commercial and residential permits are trending with previous years. And then in the paving and the stormwater section, it shows that those projects are about halfway through, so we are on schedule to complete all the paving and all the stormwater projects kind of, on our to-do list this year, and that's a substantially increased amount of paving. So we should be in good shape to do that. I want to remind everyone as well that on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, I believe they're both Wednesdays, trash will be delayed one day. So you can be on the city website if there's any snow or winter weather that we delay. That'll be posted on the website. And then last but not least, Trevor Cole today. He's he's a Parks employee, and he was awarded the Employee of the Quarter. So I don't know if he's watching, but he's an awesome, phenomenal employee, and congratulations, Trevor, if you're watching. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Alderman Bergdorf, do you have a question for Jesse?
I do have a question and a comment. Thank you. I want to extend a great thank you and a appreciation to all those that worked the parade this past weekend. It was a fantastic event. Thank you so much to all the public staff that were there, and police and everyone that helped keep us safe. Part of that was that we had a lot of people in the city of Hendersonville, and they looked at the big play, that stretch of road where Fortune House used to be. It's in such disarray. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel on that? Is there any way we can get that progressed? You can address that later if you'd like. I know we're all ready to go on. What do you got?
Yes, sir. We're actively aware and working on that situation.
Okay, thank you. That's good enough.
Thank you, Alderman Bergdorf. Alderman Collins, question for Jesse.
Yes, Jesse, I have a similar question with the construction and the trees being down in front of Bradford Berry. I get a call every other week at a minimum. What are we going to do? Why does it look so bad? It's an embarrassment. La 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 la. Can you tell me if we have requests for proposals out? Has anything come in? What are we doing with that property besides letting it be ugly?
We have failed that. We should have brought this up. Yeah, there's some, I'm glad you asked this. We should have had this on the agenda. Jesse, thank you.
Yeah, I'm optimistic. I didn't necessarily want to share the information publicly, but Mr. Ray, myself, Jay Ritterbeck, we did have a discussion with GE, with GE's legal counsel. It does appear optimistic that there may be a path forward to remove the deed restrictions.
Oh.
They have reviewed our scope of work, which Athena Engineering, who is the state's consultant and also our consultant in our, they will be doing the technical analysis. They reviewed their scope of work. They had one item to add. We've already budgeted for them to go out and do samples of the soil. So we expect to kick off that work, at least the paperwork process of initiating them to go on site this week. GE will review the analysis from the soil samples. Based on that, we will continue discussions about removing deed restrictions, but absent any concerns, it appears there's a path forward for the removal of some, maybe all of the deed restrictions.
That is really wonderful news. And then what are we going to do with the building?
Then we will have a significant budget adjustment before BOMA to do something with the building, because until we know what we can do with the area,
that makes sense.
Probably comprehensively decide what we do at that point, and then start to financially plan for it.
Thank you so much.
Alderman Collins, thank you. Alderman Goodwin.
I've had a couple of questions regarding trash during Christmas. Are there any exceptions to Christmas, or will the limits and all be the same? If you could give us some clarification on that before I get more phone calls.
So fortunately, Ms. Locke put a provision in the contract that the quantities don't apply during the Christmas week. So after Christmas, if you have additional boxes, you can set them out. I would say be reasonable. They can only fit, the problem sometimes with Christmas is they can only fit and take so much to the dump a day. And so we don't have that limit in place for Christmas type of, if you're remodeling your house during Christmas week, sorry, but if it's Christmas boxes, they're going to pick them up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Goodwin. Alderman Garza.
Yes, since it's, if I don't ask this, I probably won't celebrate Christmas, but I want to put on the Christmas wish list that somehow we start targeting Trader Joe's.
I like your thinking.
That's all I had.
Thank you, Alderman Garza. Alderman Robertson, do you have a question for Jesse?
Yeah, on the Bradford House, I know Alderman Bergdorf is looking at a nonprofit for that, I believe. Are we looking at any state grants that we may be able to receive, historical grants or anything that would help pay for the improvements? Thank you.
We are. In fact, Lee Peterson has been helping us out on that. So, yeah. Alderman Bergdorf.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Alderman. Yes, we do have a Mayor Alderman. Alderman Robertson. We do have a 501c3 in place. We are honored. We do have the pieces required by the state and by the IRS in place. We are able to collect funds at Vol State Bank so that as soon as we get the deed restrictions, we should be able to proceed. We have looked into, like the mayor said, we've looked into getting state assistance as well as other local charity assistance to partner with us. Thank you.
Alderman Bergdorf, thank you. Thank you, Jesse. So I typically don't, gosh, it's probably been a couple of years since I've had a mayor report, but I thought this was worth bringing to y'all. Just some items that I feel like we need to address, and I emailed those to you and also included those in the mayor's report. Let me read the first couple paragraphs here. I myself believe that the role of government is to find solutions to problems, and it doesn't matter who caused those problems. I want to be very, very clear about that. The highest priority for those solutions are the solutions that benefit the most people and can be implemented most efficiently at the most sensible cost. Now, my highest priority since coming to office have not changed. It's been jobs, infrastructure, and image. I do think the highest priority for a city government is what Mayor Hank Thompson said in the middle 90s, and that is to provide for the safety of the people that are here. For the most part, that's our fire and police. We have many other services in addition to that. And those other services are sort of where these next items come from, as well as fire and police. And these are coming from emails, phone calls. Some of them don't surprise you at all, but some of them are some problems that I really feel like we should address because we need to. One of the things that the staff and I constantly do is when we see a problem today that really should have been solved 20 years ago, we turn around and push and shine the light on ourselves. What do we need to solve today that 20 years ago, 20 years from now, people are going to wish we had solved? So let's go ahead and solve some of those problems now, or at least give a stab at the solution, so that 20 years from now, somebody's not around here going, wow, we really wish they would have addressed that. And so I've got a list here with some possible solutions and the impact, and I'll just read that list. The homelessness in Hendersonville, illegal immigrants, non-licensed drivers, street parking in residential neighborhoods, high-frequency callers for the fire department, utility wires along West Main Street, unattractive buildings on West Main Street, increasing streetlight maintenance and cost, lack of landscaping along West Main Street, increasing the electricity expenses in our parks, decorative signs that need to be replaced in residential areas, the abandoned buildings on West Main Street, residents feeding wildlife, multiple fire inspections for new buildings, tree companies that expect our city crews to remove tree trimmings, construction work on weekends that causes noise, clear cutting trees prior to a property owner filing project applications. So those are obviously not major items, but I think if it's something that we can address and we can look for solutions now, the payoff is huge. And the possible solutions you see there are just sort of off the top of my head. The reason I'm bringing this to you now is that maybe your committee or maybe you individually would like to get involved in finding solutions. And very often I come back to something that Jesse puts in a lot of his emails and something he says in a lot of committees, that every problem is an opportunity for a solution. We have some opportunities here. If you'd like to join me on any of these, please let me know. If your committee would like to be part of this, please let me know. But I'm going to start working on some ideas and start bringing them to committees. Alderman Robertson.
If I can quit coughing, I want to thank you, Mayor. This is quite an exhaustive list of items that good planners in the city are appropriate to look at. I want to, for our discussion, I'd like for us to see if it's possible that reinstituting the Hendersonville Horizons Committee might be a good avenue to get citizen input for these, and maybe identify some of them that would be better and ask them to look at these and to vet them and bring back recommendations to BOMA. So that's one possible approach I think that we could take in addressing some of these issues.
So quite honestly, some of these I stole from that committee.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to go back to.
I was on it last time, so I know. Yeah.
Alderman Robertson, thank you. Alderman Garza.
Yeah, I like your list too, and I'll go on record now as working as hard as I can on all the West Main Street projects.
Okay, appreciate that. Any other discussion on this item? Any other questions? Alderman Goodwin.
Adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn from Alderman Goodwin. And a second from Alderman Garten. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good night.
Merry Christmas.